Imagine everything you struggle with today becomes natural tomorrow. The secret? The four levels of learning. In the four levels of learning, this thing came out in the 70s. And the idea basically is to take you from where you're at right now to where you want to be. So the idea basically is not knowing what you don't know, all the way to not even thinking about how to do a certain thing. You don't have to do it because it's become like part of your programming. Kind of like if you ever gone to the gym, the first time you went, you kind of had to obviously force yourself to go. It was the first time you ever been there. Probably uncomfortable. I know that's the same thing that I felt whenever I went to the gym. It's like, man, what the hell am I doing here? You go so much that it just becomes a part of not just who you are, your identity and like your habits. You really don't even have to think about it no more. That's the level of mastery that I'm talking about. Going from not knowing where you're at all the way down to not even thinking about it, just automatically doing it. This is the four levels of learning. The first level, unconscious incompetence. Level one, unconscious incompetence. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean, Miles, and why should I even care? So, what this means basically is you don't know what you don't know. So, that's where everything comes into play whenever you talk to people, you have an issue. It's pretty badass to talk to somebody who's already been in your shoes because there's some like a different lens you're not looking out of. There's something that you're missing that you can't put stuff together. And that's level one. You don't know what you don't know. So let me give you an example. Jeremy. So Jeremy is the type of person, he's out here grinding it. He's doing what he got to do. And the really cool thing about him is that he's a real go-getter. He's a hustler. But right now these are just fictional characters, right? So right now, Jeremy essentially is basically he's going home though. And in at his house, like for some reason, even though he's the breadwinner and he's doing all this stuff, he doesn't even know like really what's going on at his house. He's still having like trouble, just like just like a normal relationship. The issue though is that he doesn't even know nothing's going on. No matter how much his other half is telling him stuff, he can't see it because to him, just like, hey, I'm making the money, you know what I mean? Like, should be good enough. And his other half is trying to tell him indirectly, doesn't really tell him. Sometimes she'll tell him straightforward, like, hey, you got to spend more time with me. And since he's looking at it through a certain lens and he's not aware, because nobody really teaches us this stuff, you know what I mean? So Jeremy's just thinking like he grew up without money. He's like, every day, any day now, I could lose all this stuff that I built. But everybody else around Jeremy has seen that he's already built like a whole legacy. This guy's like, he's making money. He's got money. But deep inside, he feels like at any moment it could just be taken away. So every day he's going hard in the paint. But at his house though, that's what his wife is trying to tell him, or his other half is trying to tell him, like, hey, we need to spend more time together. It's not really working out. You're spending too much time while you're doing this hustling. It's been 10 years, you're doing the same thing over and over again. And for some reason, it just doesn't click. Now, level two, second level, conscious incompetence. So for this example, we use Mark. So Mark, kind of like in the same situation as Jeremy. He's hustling, he's making money, and he's not really having a great relationship at home. The difference with Mark and Jeremy though is that Mark knows something's wrong. Mark understands something's wrong and he understands the situation sucks. But pain brings progress, and so at least he knows that the second level, this is where he's at right now. He's like, man, something, like, I don't know exactly what it is. I know something's not right. So he's awkward, he's overthinking, but he knows that something's not right. The third level, so the third level is conscious competence. So for the third level, we're going to use Trey. So Trey, he knows that something's wrong. He's actually working on doing something to fix it right now. So in this level, you're performing, you're doing what you got to do, but it actually takes effort and focus. Like you have to make yourself go. You have to make yourself do these things. So for like, let's use the example we're using with Mark and Jeremy, right? So Trey, he's out there hustling, he's making the money, And at home, he knows that his wife's been asking, or his girlfriend's been asking to spend more time with her. So what Trey does, he comes across this book called The 5 Love Languages. And so you got to understand, all these men, one thing that they have in common, they all come from, or they come from nothing. And so they've been grinding, hitting it hard these last, 10 years. So all they know is how to make money, essentially. They all grew up kind of from the same background, but at the house, they're trying to like figure stuff out. So Trey is more awake. Trey's more awake than the other 2 levels. You see? Because Jeremy doesn't know what's going on. Mark is like, something's not right, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Trey right here, he's like, okay, I know something's wrong. And even though I'm doing this for my family, I'm making all this money for my family, my family's still not happy. Let me figure it out. So he come across his book, The 5 Love Languages. Now, The 5 Love Languages is a real book. And if you haven't read it, I recommend it. The 5 Love Languages is words of affirmation, acts of service, gift giving, receiving gifts is the third one. Receiving gifts, quality time, physical touch. That's all 5. Now that you know about the 5 love languages, and now you know that Trey has this problem, the idea basically is he's got to be conscious enough to figure out what his other partner's love languages are. So he takes his book, he goes and he's reading it, and he's got to actually train himself. At level 3, he already knows something's wrong at the house. He's the breadwinner, but he knows that just being the breadwinner isn't enough. At this point, his relationship needs something else. His relationship needs something else. So right now, what Trey's trying to do, he's going back to the house. He's trying to figure out what his other half's love languages are. And so now he has to figure out a whole new way of interacting with his other half. It's not a complete transformation, but the idea basically is, how does my other half like to be shown that I love her? All right, so the 4th level, Luke. The 4th level, Luke. So Luke this is mastery. This is mastery level right here. All the way from level 1, all the way down to level 4. This is unconscious competence. What that means basically is it's a part of who you are. It's a part of who you are. So now Luke, he's making all this money. He's been doing it for a decade now. He's already known about the 5 love languages. He already knows how his partner, and even how his immediate family, his friends, his kids, he understands how they like being shown that they're appreciated, they're cared for, they're loved. So he doesn't have to think about all this stuff. He doesn't have to think like, well, dude, is this person buying gifts? Is like, do I just tell her she's pretty today? Like, he doesn't have to think about none of this stuff. He already understands. By showing what their love languages are, he understands on how he can make them feel appreciated. He's already mastered it. So what happens is, Luke talks to Trey, gives him some tips, like, hey, you need to like do this and that. This is what you got to look for. Maybe he tells him like, hey, go on the 5 love languages website, do the test. There's a free test you can do, and it's pretty cool, especially if you have your other half do it. If you don't know these things, that way you can learn some stuff together about each other. It's pretty cool. That way now Trey knows exactly how to get to, like, he's one step closer to getting to level 4, because now he knows exactly what his partner needs, all this stuff. So Trey goes and tells Mark, like, hey Mark, dude, there's this book called The 5 Love Languages. You have to check it out. It's not about the money, bro. It's not about the money. They don't really care about the money. The money, obviously, you need it to live life, like, daily. But they already know you're going to make the money. So it's already expected, basically. And, my partner, it's like words of affirmation. Something about gifts. But me going out of my way in the morning, or just sending her a message every once in a while, it really brightens her day. So Trey's telling Mark this. Mark is telling Jeremy, he said, hey bro, sounds like you're having the same issue I'm having at my house. There's this thing Trey just told me that Luke's doing, dude, congruent in areas. You have to check it out. So what ends up happening, Mark introduces the book to Jeremy. Now Jeremy moves to this level. He got introduced. Mark moves to this level. Trey moves to this level. And this is the top level. Now he's with Luke. And so now he knows exactly what he needs to work on. So you might be thinking, well, how can I use this in my everyday life? whatever it is you're working on right now, you might be at level 1. Why is this not working for me? Why is this thing not happening? Why is this thing not giving the same result? Like I feel like I know what I need to do. How come I'm not where I'm supposed to be at yet? Well, there might be a part that you're not even aware of. You know what I mean? So probably be in the best interest to figure out what the end goal is, reverse engineer it and see who else has been there, and see maybe you can find like YouTube channels, see where they're at, and see if they can get their story, so you can get some, some actual feedback from these people that are right here, and maybe they're seeing something that you don't even know that's even there, like an option. That's one way you can use this. The other way is figure out what this looks like. Figure out what this looks like, and going back to the 5 pillars that this channel basically was built off of, self-mastery, faith, finance, fitness, and relationships. Like, put those into practice. Like, scale yourself on a 1 to 10 on each pillar. What does a 10 look like for each pillar? And then rate yourself where you're at right now, and then work on the weakest pillar. And then you'll start going to these levels. These things go for everything. It's not just about the love languages. It's literally about learning. It's about life. It's pretty amazing. From getting from here all the way to here, it's an incredible feeling. And these are basically, this thing ties into everything. Habits ties into everything. But being able to reach mastery, it's incredible, because now you're on autopilot. Just like whenever you drive to your house, if you've bought a new house or you moved into a new place, you have to think about it, and then all of a sudden now the RAS system, the reticular activating system, picks it up. That's the goal. And especially if you're stuck, you got to figure out where you're at on this thing and what you need to do. You can use this in business, in life, in any of the pillars. Complete game changer. Hey, real quick, if you're stuck anywhere and you're looking at this channel right now, and if you're the type of person who is making money already, you're making money and you just still don't feel fulfilled, you feel kind of empty, or you feel empty, it's time for change, and you feel that change, the time for change is now. Hey, listen, book a call with me. It's a free call, 45-minute, 60-minute call, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how far we get into the conversation. And the goal of the call would just to be better than you came on the call. Literally leave with a game plan. It's free of charge. It's a one-time deal. And if you end up wanting to do like a course or something, like a coaching sessions, I'm trying to work something out right now where I can do like 6 to 8 weeks at a discount, because I need testimonials. Because I've done this already with a lot of people, but they're like people I work with. I've helped them out in the 5 pillars. That's literally why I started this channel, because of the impact I was already having. But I want to do it with people who I don't know, who I don't work with. So the testimonials would go a long way for me. So just like even getting on the call helps out big time. So I appreciate you watching. Like, comment, subscribe on the channel, so that way we can get in front of other people who need help, just like us, just like yourself, just so the algorithm can pick it up.